Good morning, good day, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Carrie. I hope this finds you well, wherever you are at. We are going to be looking at a word today. Day before yesterday, I was having a rather fitful sleep, and a Hebrew word kept coming to me. And it's interesting because there are many times that I'm instructed in the nighttime hours, and Hebrew words or phrases or letters will literally reveal themselves to me during my sleeping hours. And the one that I'm going to talk about with you today, share with you, is pretty amazing. And when we take a look at the first time this word is used, we were actually going to dive into that scripture as well because of what it's being revealed in it. And I can see why this word wanted to present itself. So without further ado, let's take a look. It is the word Chomah, and it means a wall. And if we're going to go down here and let's take a little deeper dive, an unused root, apparently meaning to join, and a wall of protection. So right there, I mean that, okay, so wall of protection, okay, and to join. I have been feeling for a good probably 6 months now that we are in the season of the gathering. And as we are joining in numbers, and really we're joining a wall of protection, but we have unconventional warfare that we are doing by coming together and standing in our sovereignty, and not in the world view of sovereignty, but in the spiritual view of sovereignty. So in looking at this in joining a wall, or a wall joining a wall of protection, let's take a look at the letters themselves that make this word. And in its original form, we can see that there is a vav that has been deleted from the root the first time it's used, which is in Exodus 14:22. So originally, this wall of joining, it's interesting that the vav is very important because it is a tent peg or a nail, something that connects. And with it being in the root, this would be in the static form, in the place of 0 point, in the place of non-duality. This would be where you have already connected in your heart as source to source, as creator, in potentiality with no distortions. So when we look a little deeper, we have the chet, which is a letter that, in its esoteric meaning, is connected to life. This is the letter of life, and it is spelled as a het yod tav. So het yod, chai, means life, tav means sign, mark, covenant. So this is life of the covenant of one who is marked with the signature frequency of life that has connected themselves to the living water teachings. Mother is presenting herself in front, because through the constituent letters, mem is a mem and a mem sophit. So there's a secondary letter that is hidden behind it, which is actually Father's teaching. And his face isn't being presented right yet. But then we have something that is being revealed to us. And Hey is either a Hey, twin revelations, or a Hey Aleph. And again, that is how you spell the symbol through its constituent letters. So you see the simplified form right here, but it actually is a Hey Aleph or a Hey A. Hey. So life connected to filling up through the waters of chaos that lead to the waters of shalom, that bring forth a revelation. This is something that we are joining to and being surrounded as a wall of protection. Pretty big word in looking at it. So if we go into the scripture itself, the first time it is mentioned, like I said, the vav isn't there yet. But let's take just a really good view of the very first verse that is used, because there's some pretty amazing things that are being revealed. So in the mechanical translation, meaning English translation word by word, not for grammatical reasons, because we wouldn't structure the sentences the way the mechanical translation reads in English, But we have this. So went the sons of Israel into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters to them were a wall on their right hand and on their left. First thing I want to point out is these words that are in brackets. These have been added for grammatical purposes and are not part of the text. So the translators had to take the liberty to add these things in for continuity's sake, to keep their story or their narrative. And this, obviously, if you haven't connected to this, is the story of when the Hebrews left Egypt and were crossing over into through the Red Sea or the Red Sea as they were being pursued, and the waters were parted. So in the very first word, it's meaning to go in, enter, come, go in, to lead in, to carry in, to bring, to gather. So when we go deeper into the word here, it means to go or come, to come or go. And we can see that it's a bet vav aleph in its root form. And the way it's written is the vav is not on the inside. So again, like we were looking at the word chomer, we were seeing that, or chomah, that the vav was missing from here. Well, we also have the vav missing from here. The difference is that we have one added to the prefix and we have one added to the suffix. So to go or to come in, we have connecting to mother in humility, is given a vision, the power, means, and direction through the hand that gives to the open hand that will receive that which is necessary to enter into the door of the inward man, where revelation will come to show you where you're weak and feeble so you can deliver yourself. This is so that you can build yourself on the inside in the way of one. The teachings that you will learn so that you can teach, so you can yoke and tame yourself and possess the thousandfold anointing as family, as one who is associated to and with the spirit of one, who now has the power of meekness. So this is a coming and going of those who are already connected in humility to mother, possessing the meekness, having connected to Father, that have been given a twin vision. It's all about the building of the one. So they are going to be coming and going, and these are the sons of Israel. So when we see sons of Israel, we know that this is referring to all 12 tribes. This isn't the state of Israel. This is in reference, because the state of Israel did not exist when these writings were given. This is referring to humanity, people that are connected to the 12 tribes. And I need to make this point here. All 12 tribes were dispersed amongst the entire world. The two kingdoms, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah, were both conquered. And in their conquering, they were dispersed. So in the dispersion, the true people of Israel have been scattered abroad all over the world. And these, when you look at the frequency, the word son, and again, this is just a frequency. This does not have anything to do with the state of the human body, whether it's masculine or feminine or binary or non-binary. It's not that. It's a frequency of a word. And this word means those who would build family that have been given the power, means, and direction to do so. And really, this is all about building ourselves on the inside by taking the spiritual path, which is the seed of life that produces an heir and perpetuity, giving a strong base to stand upon, and those who actually give. This is the hand, the work and deed of the hand, but it is also one who gives. And then as of Israel, and Israel again is a frequency, and Israel is a fascinating word when you look at it, because there's so many moving components in it. When you look at it and breaking it down, it will say that it is of two words that have been compounded together, that it is from Sarah and El, and saying that it's he will rule as God, and it is a symbolic name of Jacob. But again, we know his name was changed. So Sarah is the word that means to persist, to preserve, or persevere, to exert oneself, to prevail. And then when we look at the word El, it is the word that means God. Whether it's God with, as they say, a capital G, or gods and in singular little g, makes no difference. Again, when we look at the word God and gods, it's something that we actually need to rephrase or reframe what that means. And the letters actually tell us what a God is. And it's definitely differently than what we were presented through the Church of Rome. So, as one who prevails, as God. But we also have the word Yasher here, which means the just and the upright. And another word that we have hidden is Yush, which means a being of having substance. And we also have the word Ra, which means to see or to perceive. And this is actually really important because this is to see and perceive the leaders, the top, the heads who are one. And if anybody has gone through the law of one material, you can connect this quite easily. I am Ra. So that is contained within the world Israel. So in looking at the letters, we have vision was given, which is the power, means, and direction to enter the door of the inward man that will reveal to you that which is weak and feeble, so that you can deliver yourself. This is going to be as if waters from a deep well that will lead you to the fire that will consume your lower beast ego nature. And just as a side note here, this sheen, because the dot is above the left-hand side, this Holameli is on the left, this is referring to the fire of Father. So becoming a being of substance, going through the fire of Father, that will give you what you need as the power to overcome your lower beast flesh, to raise you up from being poor and destitute so that you can be a first fruit leader as one who sees as one, having been yoked and tamed, having been taught, so therefore teach, that now possesses the staff of authority in which they urge and goad others on as a teaching shepherd that has given the mouth to speak forth revelation. They are the teachers of light as God. So this is really a powerful, powerful word, chock full of information if you have the eyes to see it. So again, in referring to God through the letters, God just means strong leader of authority who teaches. That's all it is. So it's one who is revealed of having more authority or something that is higher than what you can be able to process within your natural state of being right now. But it doesn't mean that it's so something lofty and unattainable that you will never be able to reach that measure, because it's just a strong leader teaching shepherd. Then we move into in the midst. This is a powerful word. It may not seem like it, but it's in the midst, in the middle, in between of things arranged by twos. And again, if you have watched any of our other teachings, you can connect that to the two twin teachings of Mother and Father, the two paths of the 22 letters that have been divided. So this is talking about in the midst, in the middle of something that has been divided. And several things I want to point out here. First, let's look at the letters. This is pertaining to spiritually building ourselves through the covenant, where we will be changed and marked with a different frequency, which is the fingerprint of the covenant that connects to power, the hand that grasps the power of the language. So in the beginning, we have a Hebrew word here, bat, which means daughter. So please connect this. We've already got sons here, but we also have daughter that is hidden. So the process starts out as sons who are building through the spiritual path to become a daughter. The difference is that the noon is being removed from the daughter and the tav has been put in place. So in the place of sonship is one who builds. Daughters are those who have completed and have been marked, now exempt from judgment because they have completed their building process. Both is also a unit of measurement, and it's considered a liquid measurement. So we know that there's a measurement about being in the midst of those things, in the middle of the two twin teachings that build us up so that we can be marked, which leads me to the next word that has been hidden within this written form. This is the Tav Vav, and it means to mark. So when you take a look at the root word for to make or set a mark, it's Tav Vav He. And the one that I refer to all the time in regarding the mark would be Ezekiel 9:4, where if we take a look at it, this is where the writer with the inkhorn goes and marks, go through the midst of the city, Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. So the word mark is right here. So this mark, when we take a look at the word itself, going a little deeper, sign as exemption from judgment, my mark. So that is a very important word for us to look at within this Tevek. So in the midst of the two, the twin covenants, you will receive the mark. I guess it helps us if we go back to the original. So in the midst of the two, you will receive the mark, which is a measurement of becoming the daughter, a son who was building the family as one who has been marked as having completed and being marked with the sign of the covenant that exempts them from judgment. And they did that because the kaf is a representation of a cup or a vessel to be filled. And in this position, it means that they are pouring themselves out, or they've poured themselves out, emptied their cup so that they could grasp the power of the language that will reveal to them. And since it's a language that reveals to them, connecting it to the next word, we have the word see. This is really a hidden word as well. Every word is hidden in a way, though. I mean, there's an esoteric side to it that once you have the eyes to see, you can't unsee it. The word for see is Yod Mem. And Yod Mem, the sea, actually refers to the goddess, the Queen of Heaven. That's a representation of the goddess. And I know for some that are hearing this for the first time, this could be sounding pretty offensive as coming against the Church of Rome's teachings, because they've left the feminine side of the deity out. But this is a representation of the goddess form, the Queen of Heaven. This is the revealing of the Queen of Heaven. And what you probably don't see, and I'll share this with you, is this is a yod that has been doubled. It's two yods that have become one. So we were talking about two walking in the middle of the two. Well, here is two yods that have become one. It is a shorthand form of it because we have the dagesh. It's called a strong dagesh, which means it's a doubling effect. So if you're ever in question, you can take a look at the transliteration and you can see there's two Y's here. This is so that when you pronounce this word, it's He Yom, so that it's the doubling of the two. So these are two visions that have become one, that are connected to the goddess, the Queen of Heaven. And this is the revealing of her. Another thing to keep in mind that happens within the Hebrew is that when you have a hey that is added on the prefix of a word, it's actually a shorthand, and what you don't see is that this is technically a hey lamed. The lamed is hidden. So this is the revelation of the hidden instruction, because lamed means to teach, to instruct, the hidden instruction of the Queen of Heaven. And this is done through twin visions that are given, which is the power, means, and direction, as doors to these instructions that will deliver you from being weak and feeble, meaning not having the instruction, delivering this message to deliver yourself so that you can complete your journey. Mem in Paleo means waters, and it can mean chaos. But when you are in the Mem Sophit, you have now crossed over the threshold into waters of completion. This is the place of the Father. This is his teachings in completing the journey. That's why in becoming the Queen of Heaven, you must be instructed through the hidden teachings to be revealed as one who has completed the journey. Moving on to dry ground, we have the root, Yabash. And this is where we connect this to one who is in a wilderness journey, where it is a place that is very dry ground. And it's interesting that where we live, about 3/4 of the year, everything is like 50 shades of brown. Everything is dry, everything is dusty, to be dried and dried up, because it's very arid where we live. And so Yabush is letting us know that we are in that dry ground place, but that is, it's meant. So let me take it put it this way. If you are in a place where you are suffering disappointment right now, and many people are suffering that because of what happened in 2020, and there's much disappointment, and you feel like you've been dried up, and you're confused as to what you are seeing. And again, I wouldn't look at the word ashamed. This is a language of duality here, so there's two sides to the same coin. But in this regard, in looking at what we've gone through, for those who are being disappointed, you are needing something to help you within being in the dry ground. This is your wilderness journey where you're being stripped bare so you can be built back up. And in looking at this word as it is written, this is meant, your wilderness journey is meant to build you on the inside and to reveal something to you. So that is why 2020, the year of perfect vision, was to strip everything away from you, different things that were no longer sustainable, that were taking energy away from that which you needed to focus upon by building yourself on the inside. And now this bit has a dagesh in it, meaning it is pierced. So in the building process, this is one who has been pierced or is being filled with power. And again, these are two visions. Take a look at the transliteration. The double Y lets you know this is a strong dagesh. So two visions that have come together as one, so that you can be built on the inside, but you must go through the consuming fire to deal with your fallen flesh, your beast ego. But then the Father's teaching will be revealed to you. I also want to point out a couple things here. The Bet Shin, this is a gematria of a word of shuv or shev, which means to turn or return, and it also means to be married. So this is the power of when you are in the dry place. It is to prepare you for marriage, to get you ready to be married. But you need to build yourself on the inside and go through fire first to purify you to get you ready. The other pattern that we see here is what we call, this is the walking between the pieces. So if you connect this to the promise that was made to Abraham in the process of the covenant, he had to walk, or the torch, the fire, which is actually a seraphic message, walk through the twin pieces. So these are two bets that have been divided. Same letter, they both have dageshes in them. It's both those that have been connected and pierced that have power between them. This, if you were to write it out, it would be bet yod, yod bet. And so this is walking through the covenant of the pieces, but it is also connected to the Ark of the Covenant. Because whenever you see twin letters like this that have been divided, or in this case, bet yod, yod bet, these are a mere image and is directly connected to the cherubim that are on top of the Ark of the Covenant, which is also known as the Ark of the Testimony, because it is the process of our being. So, and that is in the Holy of Holies. So when you begin to see these things, you have entered into that sacred space of the Holy of Holies, which is meant to be a representation of the sacred place of your heart, building you between the two twin visions that have been connected, one that became two to bring you back into oneness. That is the whole purpose of being in the dry ground in the wilderness. But in that place in the dry ground in the wilderness, water will come. But the importance is first you must recognize that you're in your wilderness journey so that you can humbly connect to Mother's teaching, which is a revelation of hidden instruction through the living waters. Mayim, Mother's water that is giving you a vision to connect you to Father's water. And I find this interesting because part of the piercing, I didn't mention it before, but it's very appropriate to do it now. This has to do with procreation, and this is in a spiritual context. So Mother has been pierced because a seed vision has been placed within her, the Dagesh. It's a door that is meant to reveal something to you, to lift you up, to gather and assemble what you need through instruction, to wean you off the milk of the word and ripen you so that your fruit is ready and prepared, because you've gone through the consuming fires dealing with your lower beast ego nature, which then gives you the power to enter into Father's teaching. But it will be revealed to you through hidden instruction. And that's what we're showing to you right now. So you must go through your wilderness journey so you can connect to Mother, to have it revealed to you the instruction that comes from the living waters, which is something that is germinating within Mother's womb, so that you could be born again with a new vision, leading you into the secure and enclosed waters of Father as the Queen of Heaven, the Goddess. Then we have the word to them, and there's nothing here in Strong's, so they decided to put in here to them, but there's nothing to connect to it, and that's because the letters themselves are telling you. So this is a teaching shepherd of light that is bringing revelation to you so that you can complete your water journey out of the waters of chaos, out of the birthing process, the waters of below, to be set into the waters above. Hem is the Hebrew word for the likeness, in the likeness of. So this is all about becoming in the likeness of the teaching shepherd that comes to presents to you the letters of light and love. Now we get to the word Chomah that was presenting itself to me last night. When in this form, the very first time it's used, the thing that I really want to draw your attention to is Memhe. Memhe is a Hebrew word that means what is it? And this is actually the root word for manna. What it's saying to us is that we are asking, what is it? What is it? We are in the waters of chaos. The waters of chaos means forgetting. So again, if you think about it like entering into the mother's womb, when we first came in and we were birthed, we forgot who we were. We forgot who we are. And so everything is chaos because we know nothing when we come into this world. So we come into this world and we have questions. Whoa, what is it? What have we been born into? What are we learning? So the question of what is it pertains to the het, which is the letter of life. So this question, a wall, or this word meaning a wall, to join, protection, begins by asking the question of what is life? What is going to bring me life? And through the hidden meaning of this letter, it's the life of the covenant that marks you with a different frequency as one who is exempt from judgment. So their daily manna that they were gathering had a fallen noon on it. So they were gathering things in the natural to sustain them, when the root of it was saying, through the teachings of Mother and Father, they will reveal to you what is necessary. And you must partake this every day to sustain yourself spiritually, and this will reveal to you what life is. Now, this het has a dot on top, which is a kolam, and kolam has to come from the root word meaning a dream, and a solution that comes from a dream. Meli means to be set above and set apart, to be filled up with power. So this is life that is coming, that will be like a dream, but the answer is going to come as you fill yourself up with power, a vision that is given to you to give you power, means, and a direction to have life, so that you can be marked with one as covenant, one who is exempt from judgment, and that means you no longer judge. Chet is also a word that means to divide, to separate. It's like a fence that separates those from the inside versus those that are on the outside. So there's those on the outside of life and those who are on the inside, and this is the division. Between the living and the dead, because they haven't even realized that they need to ask the question, well, what is life to begin with? It is the covenant that comes from love. Last two words here, very profound. Right hand and left hand. You will hear Ken speak of many times, as well as me, that our journey takes us first on the right hand path, which is Mother's journey, and then the left hand path, which is Father's journey. When we take a look at what we are seeing here, the right hand, this is actually coming from the word Aman. I actually did a whole teaching on Aman, and that what it's sharing with us. Aman is a very big word. It's what you use to say Amen, and in Hebrew it's Amen, because there's a yod put in it. So we are giving our power over to it. Instead of just saying it Amen, we say Amen. We are putting our Creator power to make it happen. And as the root, it means to build up or to support, to foster as a parent or to nurse, to render, to be firm or faithful, to trust or believe, to be permanent or quiet, to be true or certain, and to go to the right hand, interchangeable with Aman. So as being interchangeable with Aman, this is to turn to the right, to take the right hand road. So from Aman, what are we seeing here? This is really profound, because the answer will come the resolve will come within the next word. The Aleph has been removed, because the right hand path, Mother isn't teaching you oneness yet. Mother teaches you how to rightly orient yourself on the outside, to be able to see the golden rule, that you would teach people, or you would treat people the way you want to be treated, And I've said this many times, that one of the ways, if you're going to punch somebody in the face, the likelihood is they're going to punch you in the face right back. So if you don't want to be punched in the face, then don't punch someone in the face. Uh, if you want kindness, then be kind. If you want to be nurtured, then nurture. This is mother's teaching. This is milk teaching that she must teach you, to build you up so that you can be, so you have trust and belief in the process of what is happening. But she doesn't teach you the oneness principle yet. You just need to orient yourself on the outside so that others can be safe around you. Because if you're providing a safe place for others, you're actually making a safe place for you. Because you don't understand yet that we are all one. And when we are immature, because originally these teachings would be taught from the age of 0 to 12, you don't know this yet because you went through the chaos, you went through forgetting. You're literally having to learn all over again. So you need to make the place safe for you and for others to be around you. So what are we seeing here? Well, we have Mayim, but this again has to do with the pattern of the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant. We have me and me. We have two mirrors of the exact same thing that are living water teachings that you must enter into to give you the power to the next teaching you must enter into to give you power. This is the spiritual path that will give you the ability to complete your journey and enter into the waters of completion, the waters above, the waters of shalom. So this is very important to see it this way. And this is going through the right-hand path. And again, what was added was specifically the Mem and the Mem Sophit. Both Mems were added. So again, stressing the importance of you first must be entering into mother, entering into her womb again, to be reborn into the waters above that are no longer in chaos. Then this takes us to the left. This is extremely profound when you look at it, because these right here are in the system of duality, of entering in to the right and then into the left, into the light and into the dark, the good and the evil. But again, it's all frequency. It's all frequency. And when we look at this, let's go deeper into this left. It comes from the word simla, but this is properly the dark, the north, the left-hand side. So in the place of north is the hidden place, as being enveloped by darkness. So think of light and dark, the yin and the yang, that are completely balanced. So dark is not, as we have been presented in the world, that everything is dark is scary. Dark is just simply something that is being hidden, that is being revealed to you, but it is enveloped. You have to have the eyes to see it. It's from Simla, and this means a mantle. A mantle. Especially a covering, especially a mantle. Some deep, deep things that you would never see in English here. So what is most profound, if we're looking at this, that is the mantle that we are talking about, that was from Simla. What was put on the inside? The Aleph. So the Aleph that was taken from here is now being revealed and put within the center of your being, which now means that you have entered in the place of knowing that you are one with Source. And look at what the word right here is, El. You are one with Source on the inside as being one with God. This is a mantle that one carries. And how do you do this? Well, you first must connect to Mother and her teachings. You must be humble. You must enter in. As you've been in the waters of chaos, you must enter in back into the womb so that you can go through the twin fires. This is interesting. Again, this is a strong dagesh, which means it's the doubling of the sheen. So these are two fires, two consuming fires that you must go through that will deal with your lower beast ego nature, the fallen flesh. This leads you to Shem. This is the name, those who are of the name, those who have gone through the living fire and the waters of purification, so that they have the hundredfold measure. That's what Ma is, it's a measurement. The hundredfold measurement in becoming one on the inside through the instruction that they received from Father's teaching where they completed their journey. Now there's one other thing that's very mysterious in here that I want to reveal to you, because this is so deeply profound to me. This right here is the inverse of Shemesh. Shemesh is the Hebrew word for sun. Two different ways of spelling this. It's just, well, not spelling per se, it's vowel points, but the letters are the exact same. One is the sun and the other one is to minister and to serve. This is the center candle also on the menorah, the one that lights the rest. A light to the world that lights the rest. And when we look at it as the sun, this is the east side sunward rising, the rising sun, a window to be brilliant as the sun, a ray of light that can connect, if you're thinking, to Quran, shooting forth beams and rays of light. So in what we are seeing here, this is the inverse of it. Before it was Sheen Mem Sheen, now we have Mem Sheen Mem. These two things are connected because they are the mirror image of one another. And in the system of duality, there must always be the opposite to bring homeostasis and balance. So this is the mirror of the servant candle. That is the water that leads to the fire of the water, where before it was the twin consuming fire, the flames, that led and were connected to water. So we've got seraphic messengers and we have water messengers. These are both parental forces of mother and father, one that teaches the divine feminine and one that teaches the divine masculine. They are both needed. They are both balance. They are the inverse of one another in order to bring balance so that we become one on the inside through the instruction needed to become one with God. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that we have the making of the word Sheol in here. Sheen, Aleph, Lamed. And let me show you that. Sheol is what they call as Hades, or the grave, hell pit. This is the way King James translated it. And it's from Sheol. This is the place to ask and inquire. This is the place to ask and to inquire. So if you want to know what hell is, it's the place and to ask and inquire. And the reason for it is because there's a consuming fire of God This is where they would get hellfire from. And it just means the fires of purification that deal with your fallen flesh. So if you get burnt because you were doing something that wasn't becoming, Mother's fire is going to burn you until you stop and ask questions of the strong leader teaching shepherds to give you an answer as to why you just got burnt. Why did you get scorched? So when we go back to this word, right here, we have ask and inquire of the living water that can be found within you. This is the place that we seek answers, but we have to ask them first. So this is the process of asking and seeking that which is necessary so that you can be as of those who are of the name Shem. Shem, which is part of the word Shamayim, which means heavens, which means a lofty abode, and we are talking about consciousness here. So of the name are those who've gone through the consuming fire and the living water, that have a mark of individuality, that have honor and integrity and character as those who have been set apart. This is a very big, big word, and this is of the dark. So of the light is Mother's teachings, of the dark in the hidden is Father's teachings, and this is so that you can know and learn. On the inside, you've now connected as one with Creator Source on the inside through the instruction, knowing that you are one with God. So in a review and a recap, those who connect to Mother in humility will be given the twin visions that will provide power, means, and direction to those who will come and go in meekness, that have built themselves in the process of building through the spiritual path, who have power, that are of Israel, those who are the just and the upright, those who have prevailed as the princes, as the rulers, who see, who are the strong leader teaching shepherds, who have overcome, that are of beings of substance that were raised up to lead from their poor and destitute position. They walked in the midst of the two that were divided to now become a daughter, which is a measure standard that they became because they built the covenant of love through the 222, two paths of the 22 letters, where now they are marked as exempt from judgment because they no longer judge, because they chose to empty their cup and grasp a hold of the power that is within the language that brings forth revelation, that which Mother brings, the hidden teachings that will instruct you through the twin visions that have come together as one, so that you can be revealed as the goddess that has completed her journey through the waters of chaos to the waters of shalom. First, going on the dry ground, the wilderness journey, where it was parched and arid, so they could build themselves on the inside through the pattern, through the Ark of the Covenant, the Mother's building process on the inside, through the Father's building process on the inside, where they would be given power, the vision that is given to those who give, that we be willing to receive, going through the consuming fire to deal with their fallen flesh, to reveal to them the Father's teachings, so that they could build themselves and get ready as the bride who is in the betrothal period. This was done by humbly connecting themselves to the hidden teachings that Mother would reveal about the living waters. First, by planting a seed vision by entering back into Mother's womb in order to receive that which is necessary, the power to receive Father's teachings, to be born anew, to become in the likeness of the teaching shepherd that comes to bring forth this revelation, to complete their journey. They are joining a wall of protection as they asked, what is life? What is this covenant that there are those who are on the inside of it and those who are on the outside of it, as we are all living in a dream, meant to be filled up with power and revealing that which is necessary through the teachings to reveal the right-hand path, where we are raised up and nurtured, fostered and supported so we can learn to trust and believe, be the firm and the faithful that have gone through both teaching processes of entering into Mother, receiving her power, entering into Father, receiving his power, which is the spiritual path that leads to completion, where our flesh is made new, no longer of the beast, but a new flesh given to those who complete the journey of the pattern found between the living waters of Mother and Father. As they've gone to the right hand, they then take the left hand path. By keeping in the humble position of being connected to Mother still, they have asked and inquired, what is this of life? And they found that through it, through what was revealed in the 100-fold measure first, they found the 1,000-fold measure within, as having become one on the inside, knowing this through the instruction of becoming one with God, as God, having completed their journey out of the waters of chaos into the waters above, who are of the name, those who have honor, authority, and character, that are marked with individuality, yet are of one. They went through the ways of fire and water to become as God. And this is what the question was asked, the letters, what is life? Life is becoming one. So, if you ask and you seek, you shall find. Shalom, shalom, and namaste.